A beloved Southern beauty queen mysteriously vanishes just days before Halloween. This is the disappearance of Tara Grinstead. In 2005, Tara Grinstead was a 30-year-old beloved history teacher living in Ocilla, Georgia. She competed in beauty pageants and actually won the Miss Tipton pageant, which landed her a spot in the Miss Georgia competition in 1999. She used her pageant winnings for college and became a teacher. She taught and loved her students. She had recently gone through a breakup and was pretty sad but was keeping busy. On the afternoon of Saturday, October 22nd, Tara spent the day helping some younger beauty contestants get ready for an upcoming pageant. After that, she went to a friend's barbecue. Tara left around 11 p.m. and headed back to her small house that she lived in alone. The following Monday morning, school was back in session, but Tara didn't show up for class. Tara's coworkers called police and friends knew that there was something really wrong. Her friend Maria and police drove to Tara's home. They saw her car was parked in the driveway, and inside, her purse and keys were missing. And suspiciously, her alarm clock was underneath her bed and the bedside lamp was shattered. Obviously, something had happened in the bedroom. Outside, near Tara's front doorstep, police found something that didn't belong, a single latex glove. It was tested and both Tara's and an unknown male DNA was found on the glove. The evidence suggested foul play and Tara was reported missing. Police received numerous tips, but none led to Tara. Rumors swirled around Ocilla, many examining her dating life and ex-boyfriend, but for years, no one was named a suspect, and Tara's case turned cold. What happened to Tara? The mystery of her case haunted the town. It wasn't until 2017, a woman named Brooke Sheridan came forward with a shocking story. She claimed her boyfriend, Bo Dukes, confessed to her that his roommate years ago, Ryan Duke, woke him up in the middle of the night and told him that he had accidentally done something to Tara. He said he broke into Tara's home in an attempted robbery, and Bo claimed he helped Ryan cover it up. And eerily, Bo had been a student in one of Tara's classes. Go to part 2. This is the mysterious disappearance of Tara Grinstead, part 2. After his girlfriend told police, Bo Dukes confessed to his involvement in Tara's disappearance. Bo was found guilty of lying to the police and further concealing the passing of Tara and sentenced to 25 years. Ryan Duke initially confessed to it all. He claimed that there was an accident after Tara caught him in her home, but later claimed it was a false confession and said that he only said that because he was scared of Bo. All right, let's say it together. 1, 2, 3, yuck. Ryan pled not guilty and was controversially acquitted in May of this year. He was sentenced to 10 years for hiding Tara, but has already served half that awaiting the trial. 10 years? Are you kidding? That is light years too light of a sentence. Many theorize that Ryan and Bo were actually in on it together. I agree with this theory, but many doubt if we'll ever know what happened, as Tara has never been found. The Up and Vanish podcast covered Tara's case extensively, and many in Ocilla and across the U.S. are still haunted by this tragic story. I pray that Tara is at peace now. What are your thoughts on this case?
This is what happened to 16-year-old Monica Carrasco. She was born on December 13, 1986, and was from Balmorhea, Texas. In middle school, her nickname was Happy Happy because she always had a smile on her face and brought so much positivity to the room. Her older brother Juan says that she had a very bright future ahead of her. She had a dream. She wanted to do something big. She either wanted to go to Harvard and become a lawyer, or she wanted to work at NASA. Monica also loved her faith and was very religious. She was a Christian, a very active member of her church, and often loved to do Bible studies. In 2000, tragedy hit the Carrasco family when her father had a heart attack in front of them. When the paramedics arrived, they tried to do CPR on the dad, and it was very traumatizing for Monica and the rest of the family. Unfortunately, he didn't make it, and this really impacted Monica because she was very close to her father and she adored him. Monica was dealing with the loss of her father as best as she could, but unfortunately in 2003, she was hospitalized by her mother after losing 50 pounds quickly. She had also developed an eating disorder called anorexia. Her mother was trying to find a treatment center for Monica, but unfortunately, no treatment center would take her since she was under 18 years old. Monica was pretty upset with her mother for having hospitalized her. Since their relationship was rocky, this is when Monica's aunt Velma offered to take her in. She said, well, I'm a stay-at-home mom, Monica can come stay here, and I can watch her and make sure that she eats. And everyone thought this was a good idea. Monica really loved her Aunt Velma and her Uncle Abel. She said that her aunt was basically a female version of her father. So the plan was set in motion, and Monica moved into this house with her aunt, her uncle, and her twin cousins. On Wednesday, October 1st, 2003, Monica called her older brother Juan at around 8 p.m. They were pretty much just catching up, but out of nowhere, Monica started to say some very odd things. She told her brother, "Why didn't you tell me that I was Jesus?" And her brother was like, "Who told you you were Jesus?" And she told him that the little birdies told her. Juan thought this was very strange, so he kept asking her questions, and then she suddenly snapped out of it. Then she asked Juan if she could go live with him in Austin, Texas, but he said no, that she needed to wait until the doctors cleared her. And then they hung up the phone and Monica continued with her night. As the night continued, Aunt Velma and Uncle Abel were getting ready to go to bed, but they quickly checked in on the kids. They saw that the twins and Monica were playing video games, and then they went to bed. Then, at around 11 p.m., Monica stopped playing video games and headed to her room to sleep. However, the twins decided to stay up a little bit longer, but at around 1:30 a.m., they finally decided to go to bed, but they quickly stopped by Monica's bedroom to check in on her. They said they saw Monica in bed, sound asleep. Later that morning, on October 2nd, Aunt Velma woke up and went to go wake up Monica. When she went inside Monica's bedroom, she realized that Monica was gone. However, she didn't immediately freak out. She thought that maybe Monica had gone on a morning run, or maybe she had gone to the garden outside to pray. However, she realized that Monica's running shoes were inside the room, and she also checked the garden and Monica wasn't there. This all occurred at around 7:30 in the morning, and it wasn't until 2 hours later at 9:30 a.m. when Aunt Velma told Monica's mother that her daughter was missing. Police arrived to the scene and they checked Monica's bedroom, but everything seems to be in order. Most of Monica's belongings were there, her shoes, her clothes, her socks, everything. The only things that were missing were Monica's nightgown and her Bible. Okay, part 2 is up now. This is part 2 on what happened to 16-year-old Monica Carrasco. The police realized that the only items missing are Monica's pajamas and her Bible. Now, there was a door inside Monica's bedroom that did lead to the outside, and when they checked the door was unlocked. So now police and Monica's aunt and uncle are thinking that maybe she wandered off on her own. However, since her shoes were still there, would she really go barefoot? The terrain around the aunt and uncle's house was pretty rugged, so if she did leave barefoot, it would be pretty painful. Police searched everywhere, but unfortunately there was no sign of Monica. Now, Monica's aunt and uncle believe that she may have become disoriented from the medication she was taking and decided to wander off on her own. They believe she left the house, walked all the way to Highway 17, which was only 4 blocks away, and then hitched a ride from a stranger. There really isn't any evidence to back this theory up, but that's what the aunt and uncle believe. Now, since we're on the topic of the aunt and uncle, I do just want to mention that they were both given polygraph tests, and the aunt passed hers, but the uncle failed his. Some people do think it's suspicious that he failed the polygraph test, but again, we don't really know why that happened. There's a lot of reasons why someone could fail. Monica's uncle passed away a few years ago, and her mom has come out in 2021 and said that she does not believe the uncle was involved with her daughter's disappearance. Police also investigated a school bus driver that had harassed Monica a few months before her disappearance. She had never officially reported the incident, but it did shake her up enough where she never wanted to ride on the bus again. So police found the bus driver, they questioned him, but they ultimately ruled him out as a suspect. And that's pretty much it, you guys. There aren't really any other leads or suspects in Monica's disappearance. Police do believe that maybe she left on her own, but they also suspect that foul play was involved and that Monica could be in danger. Some people believe maybe the uncle was involved, other people believe she may have ran away. I mean, we don't really know what happened, but her mother is still searching for her and still has hopes that she will find her. Even if she did wander away because of the medications, she still deserves to be found and her family still deserves to have closure. She was only 16 years old at the time of her disappearance and had a whole life ahead of her. Monica would be in her 30s now. There is a website called missingmonica.com where they post updates about the case, information about Monica, where you can submit a tip, and flyers you can download. If you have any information about what could have happened to Monica, please contact the Reeves County Sheriff's Office at this number here. I truly hope more people are aware of Monica's story, and hopefully someone out there knows something that can help the family. Here's a flyer by itself if you guys want to screenshot it and share it on your stories. My thoughts and prayers go out to the family, and I truly hope Monica is found soon.
The body of a mysterious woman was discovered shoved into a wych elm tree in 1943 in England. This is her story. It was the time of World War II, and 4 boys were trespassing in Hagley Woods by the estate. They decided to look for food because they were hungry, and Bob Farmer found the wych elm tree. He climbed up to see if there were bird eggs, and what he didn't expect to find was the skeleton of a mysterious woman shoved inside the tree in a bundle of hair, teeth, and just weird looking bones. The best way to describe the scene when the police got there is just unsettling and disturbing. One of the woman's hands was missing, and it was buried outside the tree. Her clothes were still present, and she was wearing a cheap imitation wedding ring. The coroner deduced that she was around 35 years old. She had light brown hair and was 5 feet tall. The teeth in her upper jaw were slightly displaced. And with all of that information, they still couldn't figure out who she was. She remained a Jane Doe until sometime in the near future, something pretty peculiar happened. let me clear up a few things before we go on to the next part. Something was found shoved into the back of her throat, so obviously her death was not accidental. With that being said, the position that she was found inside the tree, there is no way someone slipped and accidentally fell into the tree in that way. There's no way she was able to squeeze herself into that position without breaking some bones, tearing some skin. She was obviously placed in there. There's no other way to explain that whole part. In the coming months, there was graffiti around town. Someone was going around and spray painting on houses and buildings and sidewalks and writing in chalk, "Who put Bella in the witch elm?" And the police decided, based on the handwriting, the height of the graffiti, and where it was, and the spelling and just grammatical correctness of everything, that it was not a child or teen pranksters. It was an adult writing this. So whoever this graffiti artist was became their first suspect. Unfortunately, that lead didn't pan out, and it was, contrary to what they thought, an adult who was a little bit of a prankster trying to stir the pot. But there are a few theories, and some people even say that they have discovered the identity of this woman more than 75 years later. So, part 2 coming soon. Who put Bella in the witch elm tree? No one knows. So we're going to talk about the theories, from, your everyday average murder to spies to satanic rituals. Let's get into it. Let's talk about the satanic theory first. This comes from an anthropology professor, Margaret Murray, who at the time said that Bella in the witch elm was related to another murder that happened, and it is a ritual known as Hand of Glory, where the victim's hand is severed as an offering. It wasn't only the severed hands, though. It was the manner in which Bella's bones were spread out around the tree, which is very symbolic of occult and satanic traditions. Not to mention, there had been a lot of weird murders in the area involving witchcraft and occultism, especially that of Mr. Charles Walton, who bore some eerie similarities to Bella in the witch elm. Next, we have the theory that Bella in the witch elm was a German spy, based on a letter that one of the magazines and newspapers received, claiming that she was part of a spy ring for the German army, Luftwaffe, to destroy our factories. And apparently a pilot, witnessed Bella's death and witnessed her being shoved into the witch elm, which yes, it was World War II, but I'd rather you guys recommend Aliens than this one. I don't know, this seems highly unlikely, but that's just me. The supposed husband of Bella in the witch elm, Jack Wassab, actually died before her body was discovered, so there was no way to question him or find the person that wrote that letter. So, on to the next! And our final and most likely theory is that Bella lived a transient life, and she was either a prostitute or a homeless person, or someone of just an average murder victim. Although everything adding up is very strange, and there are way too many coincidences to think that this is just a random act of hate and killing and whatever you want to call it. But it does make sense that maybe Bella heard that there was a bomb strike. She heard the alarms and rushed off into the woods, and wrong place, wrong time. But what do you guys think?